We are officially off and running.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Well, listen, I am super excited to have the Power Family Unit in the house. I've got Rami and Krista Zur here. We could go, let's do it. Say your full maiden name, the full name.
Full name?
Yeah.
My full name is long. Kristina Zur. Fazekas is my original name, and Zur is my family.
Your married name, right? Krista Zur is for short, but that's what we're going with today.
That's good.
Awesome. Well, you two, thanks so much for being here. This is the perfect example of the reason I built this podcast, because you guys are this example of people that I've known for quite a while now, but I only know a bit of the story. So I suspect that a lot of people know bits and pieces of it, especially here. Now, if you're from Hungary, you probably know your name more so, but you know, the U.S. is a big place, and we all kind of blend together. And so we're gonna really kind of shine a light on the story and what brought you guys here and how you got together and what makes you guys such cool, humble, nice, badass athletes and coaches. I know. Yeah, I know, right? But listen, the Passion Project is solely that. It's my ability to get together with really cool people that do really cool stuff and tell the story. So thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for taking time out of your day.
Thank you for
Thanks
having
for having us.
Oh, I love this. I'm super excited. You guys have always been on the list, for sure. I kid you not, for sure. Listen, you guys have both had a lot of success, and we're going to talk about that. And you've had success individually and separately, but also together. So there's just a lot of bits to the story, and you also come from far and wide and are together, and now you're here. So there's multiple countries, there's multiple aspects to the sport and the engagement and all the things that you've done along the way. And we were even beforehand talking a little bit about the difference between what you've done from a sport perspective here in the US versus maybe your home countries, and we're going to dig into that too. So just really, really cool. But I thought, since there's two of you and one of me, I'm going to start with a little Q&A because it'll set the tone, because people are maybe going, who are these two? Well, they're going to find out real quick, but we're going to do it in the form of a Q&A. You guys ready for a Q&A?
Yep.
We're going to set the table here. So, all right, just based on a little bit of my homework, but this is fun. So I already said it, but who grew up in Hungary?
Me.
Krista did. Who grew up in Israel?
That would be me.
That would be Rami. Who was born in the U.S., though?
That would be me.
Yeah. Where was that?
San Francisco.
San Francisco. We'll talk more about it. Who is a dual citizen?
Boso? Oh, no, sorry. Just me.
Just you. So you're dual citizen, U.S. and Hungarian?
Yes.
And you're not dual?
I'm triple.
You're triple. Okay, that was my next question. Okay, what are your three?
Hungarian, Israeli, American.
So how many citizenships can a person have? Any idea?
I think it depends on the country you're coming from.
Unless you're a spy. I mean, then you can probably have as many as you want.
You know, a couple of passports in the
in the safe, right? Jason Bourne. Are you Jason Bourne?
No.
Okay, so Israel, U.S., and
Hungarian.
Oh, hold on, I missed that. You have a Hungarian?
Correct.
Is that by marriage? Is that how you get that?
By marriage, and lived there for, we'll talk about it later,
right,
but
sure.
quite some time. Also having kids, right, that are Hungarian.
And because you were a coach.
And because I'm a coach and helped Hungary get 2 Olympic medals.
Okay, you're jumping way ahead, but that's why we're here. So that's cool. Who speaks 2 languages? Who speaks 3 languages? Well, okay,
she speaks 2 languages. She's just quiet.
Okay, Krista.
I'm just joking. I try English, yeah, but Hungarian is my...
Is your primary.
Yeah, primary.
And Rami?
I get by in Hungarian. So obviously my first language is Hebrew and then English. And spending a lot of time in Hungary, training and coaching, and with Krista,
You've got your 3.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't say I'm fluent, but
you can get
enough
by.
to get by, get direction, order
him.
food.
Hey, that's 2 more than I've got. So I barely have 1. And I truly don't know this one. Colleges. You tell me. I believe you went to college in Budapest?
Yeah, in Budapest. I have a sport management degree.
Yeah, sports management. That's impressive.
And I started in Israel, continued in San Diego.
Which school?
Just Northwestern
Oh,
Community College.
Yep.
And then actually to get all my accreditation and in order to qualify to get all the stipends and everything in Hungary, I had to go to school over there for a year and a half and got a... In Europe, you have actually coaching is an academic degree.
Awesome.
And have a couple of phases. So
you went through all of that.
I went through that
in
with the help
Hungary.
of my wife in Hungary.
Got it.
And online, but you know you have to go for the final exam. You have to show up. So left her here, went over there in the winter by myself.
So you went to
Actually,
Hungary.
no, you came with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That
you
was
okay?
your citizenship.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
We're jumping in
Yeah.
all over. Okay, I'm gonna press.
So I got
pause
my
there.
degree of coaching in Hungary.
In Hungary.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Now we're getting a little deeper into some of the stuff. We've already touched on some. Who has national medals from their country or countries?
I think both of us.
Both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
both of you. Underachievers. Who has 7, I think I have the number right, 7 world championship medals?
That's me.
That
No,
is-
you have 8.
oh, was it 8?
You have 8 gold and a lot more not
I
in
know there's-
gold. Yeah.
The list was long. I was just trying to go to the
Doesn't
top.
even
That's how many world championships? I'm not sure. That means you've done very well. Congratulations. And then this one, I think we've given away. Who's been to 2 Olympic Games?
Oh, so actually, you
No,
were
you've
just
been to
you.
You've
Yeah.
been to 2.
I've been to more.
You've been to 3
As an athlete, yeah.
as an athlete. Yeah.
But as a coach,
2 more.
2 more.
Yeah. Underachievers again.
5
Yeah.
total, yeah.
Together, you've been to 5 Olympic Games as athletes.
Mhm. Yeah.
Who has? Well, let's real quick. What games were those? What were your 2?
Mine was London 2012 and Rio 16.
So awesome.
Yeah,
Rami?
so mine was first at 2000, the Sydney Olympics, my first one, and then 2004 in Athens, and then 2008 in Beijing.
So incredible.
Yeah.
You guys are amazing. Who? This is the big one, or one of the big ones. Who has 2 gold medals from the Olympics?
Yeah,
It's in my house.
I got it.
Hold on, you're not wearing it, Krista. You don't wear those all the time.
Oh, wait. Maybe I should
I thought you were going to let me like touch one or something. No, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Gold medals. Listen, and we're blessed and we'll talk about the Newport Aquatic Center. There's a lot of Olympic athletes that train there, historic trains. Not a lot of gold. So, I mean, that's incredible. Hold on.
Thank you.
I touched a gold medalist.
It was a teamwork. So I don't know, should I take it as mine?
Yes,
Yours.
of course, because you were part of that team. It's incredible. Who has competed for more than one country in the Olympics?
In the Olympics, myself.
What countries?
Israel and
In
the
the
United
US,
States.
yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But
Mm.
she also competed under the U.S. national flag.
The national,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, 2010 and 2011.
It's really
And-
amazing.
And this past summer.
Oh, last year.
Yeah.
Last year?
Not Olympic event, but yeah.
Outrigger.
Outrigger. You got a world championship
Oh,
outrigger.
that's
by the way.
right.
Oh, that's the 8th one? You can that one?
Which one?
That's the 8th?
Okay, let's
Yeah.
hold on. I'm gonna.
Oh, that's true. No,
But hold on.
that's the 9th.
Hold on. Without going down rap, the fact that you guys can't remember it, but so my job is to keep us on track. What award? Because I didn't have it in the Q&A. What did you win last summer?
The outrigger.
Outrigger. What was it?
Outrigger,
Outrigger Worlds.
World.
Where was that held?
The long distance.
Long
It was
distance.
in Samoa.
In Samoa, and you
Yeah,
won
It
that.
was amazing. Yeah, with a very good team from Dana.
Was that
Incredible.
6-man?
6 men.
6-man. What was the distance?
I think it was 23 kilometer.
God,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, just keep adding gold medals to your house has got to be full. Do you even have there's no room for art on the walls. It's all medals with you two.
You know where all those medals are?
In the garage.
It's somewhere in the garage. They're all over the place, and half the time, like I just open a box and looking for something. Like, what's in this plastic bag? Oh, World Cup medals.
That's how you
World
know
Championship
that you're a
medals.
high performer when you can't even remember where your gold medals are, and they're somewhere around here. You know, we had who you guys know, Collie Wilding and Emma McDonald in here just a few weeks ago talking about their 2028 campaign. But Collie's mom, Shelley, was in the Olympics, and she ran in Sydney. She ran with the torch, and Collie was telling the story that she's grown up with that torch in their bathroom. And for her, it's just something that was in the bathroom. But for everybody else, like, oh my God, that's the torch. I was like, do you use it as like a flower pot or a beer bong? Like, what do you use it for? But yeah, you like, I guess you high achievers like, it's just another award, you know? It's really incredible. I've got a couple more questions for you. Who has earned the Order of Merit issued by the president of your country?
It's me.
That is Krista. That's incredible. Who had a pretty bad accident?
Ooh, I had a bunch, but I think you did too. But mine was
I
bad.
The one I know about was
Yours is the
yours,
bigger one.
right? And did that have some impact on your? We'll go deeper into it, but did that have some impact on you going from being an athlete to a coach, or was that separate?
I don't think so.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay,
no.
and then who? I think we've given it away, but who is, in addition to being an Olympic athlete, who has coached in the Olympics?
That would be me.
Were you responsible as coach for either of her gold medals? Were you coaching her at either of those
I was
campaigns?
coaching her. I wouldn't say I'm responsible.
Not responsible.
Because eventually the athlete's responsible for his performance.
But you were the coach.
I was the coach.
Got it. How many couples like yourselves exist where a gold medalist athlete's husband was the coach, or vice versa? Is there a lot of that out there?
There's more now. I want to say we started a trend, but we didn't really start it. But I think in many sports events, you would find a husband and wife, or a boyfriend girlfriend that would later become husband and wife pairs. But it's not very, when we were at least, it wasn't very common. And when we did it, after us,
in kayaking, it's get very common now.
It's more and more common.
Yeah, and there's especially in Hungary, there's financial benefits for it.
Yeah.
But we'll talk maybe later about. It's not easy.
Well, I'll leave it at this because we will talk about it. There's a couple things that you just teed up. One is, how are sports considered from a funding and support standpoint in different countries compared to the U.S. And then we'll talk about, the coaching-athlete relationship and how that works. I worked with my dad for 20 years. I know the challenges. There's a lot of wonderful parts and a lot of challenging parts, and I can only imagine at the most elite level of sport, it's got to have the same.
You can't wait to talk about it.
You can't wait to talk about it? No, this is not... Only positive marriage therapy happens in this room. We keep it very positive here. Okay, I'm going to switch gears. I just got to say thank you for the Q&A on that. Like, it shines a light on who you guys are and what you've accomplished. And as I said at the beginning, like the most humble, nice, normal people. And it goes back to what I say all the time is you never know who's in the room. Because you guys don't wear your gold medal when you're walking around the Newport Aquatic Center and when we're out paddling. And that's the lovely thing about, a lot of time the people that want all the attention are the ones that don't have the accolades and haven't done something big. And you guys have done some incredible stuff, and nobody would ever know unless they put you in a podcast studio and ask you a lot of questions, right? Or if you spend enough time at the Newport Aquatic Center and you know who's around. But, that's the beauty I talk about a lot is, I paddled this morning, and Krista was talking earlier about how she doesn't like to paddle with our early group because it's far too early for her.
I love to paddle with them. It's just the timing.
It's too early. It's
challenging for me because I'm not getting in bed early. So.
Yeah, that's very fun. But, I paddled with, this morning we had Willie Reichenstein and Jimmy Terrell, 2 ex-Olympic paddlers. And when you're out there, there's 3. And if you're out there, there's 4. I mean, it's really, it's proximity is power. And we're blessed where we live. There are so many elite, humble, cool athletes, totally accessible, totally fun, normal people that just happen to have worked their tails off for a very long time to accomplish some incredible stuff like you two. So super fun to be able to talk about it with you. Thank you. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take a step back. We're going to kind of go back to what I like to say is what brought you here. We're going to connect the dots. So we've talked about your accolades and some of your adult sports stuff. But we know you grew up in Hungary, and we know that you were born in San Francisco, but you were brought up in Israel, and I want to learn more about that. So we're going to go into that because that's super interesting to me. So, Rami, let's start with you. So, if you don't mind starting at the beginning, born here but raised there. Can you talk about that and then what growing up was like in Israel?
Yeah, I was fortunate. So, born in 1977, the heyday of my birth mother is from Berkeley. Was a student in UC Berkeley and got pregnant with me. And she's came from a Jewish family, no husband, and she knew she couldn't raise me. And back in the day, they heard about communes. It was very popular and all that kind of stuff.
Kind of like post-hippie.
Yep.
Especially
yep.
in Berkeley.
Berkeley, that's the mecca of the hippie nation.
Yeah, right.
And she heard there's some sort of communes in Israel. They're called kibbutz, and they work the land, most of them, with a lot of agriculture and family orientated, and very, very appealing for her. And she wanted me to grow up over there. And she sent me for adoption. She was in, this I know retrospective, this is only at the age of, I believe, 20 or 21 when I actually opened my adoption file in Israel. I saw that she was in touch with the authorities over there and asking if it's a possibility, and then they told her it is, and they had a whole conversation, letters back in the day,
So she decided that she wanted to give her child up for adoption and specifically looked to Israel.
And specifically, if it's possible,
on a kibbutz. And again, a kibbutz is a commune, very, very...
Commune based on socialism, people come together, working together, sharing everything.
And the kids are kind of brought up as a group, if I understand.
The kids are, in some kibbutzes, the kids sleep in a different place together. My kibbutz wasn't like that. You sleep
with your family?
With your family, like normal...
Gotcha.
Normal family. And then, so her brother flew with me to Israel when about 6 to 8 weeks old.
Oh, wow.
And get me over there up for adoption. And then my parents adopted me and grew up on the shore of the Sea of Galilee. And that's how I got there. And it's not like I grew up knowing that I'm adopted. At a very early age, I had books made with my name and everything, explaining that I was born in a different country for a different birth mother and all that kind of. So it was a very easy transition to understanding what it is.
Terrific.
Yeah,
and that was good. I mean, your family has been
amazing family, and we'll talk a little bit later. But when I actually met my birth mother, I thanked her for doing that. That's the most unselfish thing that I think, especially being a parent now, that anybody can do. That biggest sacrifice that I can never imagine.
Yeah, that's outstanding.
That was pretty cool. And had the best, really, by far, the best childhood in the most amazing place, most amazing people. And
what made it so amazing?
So in a kibbutz, think about take a village, or like what we know here, like those gated complexes that you live in. Everybody knows everybody. We all go to, back when I grew up, everybody went to breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the main dining hall.
Oh,
so
wow.
the families go together. So before I go to school, I go to there, I go breakfast, and then all the kids ride their bicycles 1.5 miles to the next kibbutz where the school was. This was from 2nd grade, I think we rode our bikes and everything. So you go as a pack. You come back from school. You don't go directly home. You go to it's like a little clubhouse that all the kids hang out, have fruit, vegetables to eat, snacks. You can do your homework, and in the evening only you go home, or you can go home right away, but you want to hang out with your friends. And we live next to the Jordan River, so in the summer vacation, we are like pack of bikes, like these little gang, and we'll go fishing, catch crazy big catfish, and just try to get in trouble. And, so we had a lot of freedom. It's a very safe area, a lot of farmland. And so it was really amazing going to the beach. And this is from a very young age. So you're very independent. The summer, the dads are driving around the kibbutz, calling the kids' name at like 11, 12 o'clock at night, looking for them, because we'll pay cops and robbers and stuff all over the place.
Great.
And it's a big place. You're talking about something of, I don't know, let's say 2-3 mile radius of area.
And because you had this pack of kids, all independent, safe area, you guys had kind of free reign, as long as you didn't do anything dumb.
Yeah.
You had this crew of kids, but everybody's kind of looking out for each other.
Yes,
it's almost like a bunch of cousins to some degree.
Absolutely.
How cool is that?
It's like a big commune, and you have your own privacy, you have your apartments and everything. But I'll give you an example. Now it's a little bit different, but back then, nobody had a private car. So you have, 30 cars, 20 cars, you need it. You sign up for it. There's a schedule. You got to sign up for it. You have a budget for everything, but everybody gets the same, but everybody shares a lot of these things. You know, you have a major laundromat. You have, like I said, the dining hall was a big get-together place, more socially as well. So it's pretty cool, and big family over there. My dad had 3 sisters, and they all have kids and all that. So we're just counting. My sons were asking, how many cousins do I have? I'm like, over 17. So it was pretty
amazing.
cool.
And for clarity, and you had talked about how like Berkeley and the hippie stuff in the mid 70s, but kibbutzes are still super active in Israel, right?
They are, but like everything else, they changed. They, you know, back in the day, kibbutz came from the idea of, you know, Second World War, the beginning of Israel. People didn't have much, but when they came together, they were a force that can do work agriculture, can work the land, can, you know, some people can stay with the kids, some make food, and the other go and work the land, mainly in agriculture. And later on, you know, everything changed, the market, the structure, the social structure of people as well. So I think it was amazing. That's what I said before. My childhood was amazing. We had a lot of freedom and everything, and now it's definitely changed. Now everybody has, you know, it's capitalism, so differential salaries or normal salaries depending on your position and all that kind of stuff. It changed, but still many kibbutzes, when I go home, and Krista can attest to that, I think when we go and visit my friends, it's a paradise for kids. You know, it's a safe haven, and it really is an amazing environment.
That's so cool. I mean, we grew up even here, not on a kibbutz, but growing up here just in Newport, not far from here, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
We had free reign.
Yeah.
You know, until it was dark at night. Like we were on bikes. We were like, unfortunately, I don't know about you guys, but like my kids didn't have that kind of freedom here. And we live in an awfully nice,
Different
safe
time.
place, but very different. We won't go down that rabbit hole. Israel, real quick, just, we're not going to talk politics or religion, but I just hope everybody in your family back there are doing well in spite of everything that's going on, which is a super challenging time.
Yeah, well, folks are not too young, but they're doing great. They were actually here. We were in Hawaii when all this happened, and they were adamant to go back and be at home when this happened. Well, I wanted them to stay here. But no, everybody's safe, and I hope this mess ends soon. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I've only been to Israel once, and it was an incredible experience. But what I found is, again, we won't go deep into it, but there's a very strong, I guess, ethos or mindset. Like people are accustomed to hard things and challenging neighbors and things, and they have a little different view of the world, a little bit more like, we got to live our life, and in spite of what's going on around. So I picked up on that when I was there.
We live in a tough neighborhood, you know, and my father, his father, we've all had to live through hardships, and there's always somebody who doesn't want us there and doesn't want us alive. And I think that eventually creates something very strong in you, very confident, and very real, that we don't have it living here.
Yeah.
I feel when I speak to people who come from, you know, overseas, from military, if it's Navy or Marines, they have a better understanding because they see the world outside the safe bubble that we have, and that we are grateful for them to provide this to us. But, you know, everybody in Israel, when you reach the age of, when you finish high school, you go to the military for 3 years, it's mandatory. You lose friends, you lose people that you know, you grew up with, and you want it or not, it rubs on you. Some people better than others, but you have to adapt, and I think that's what you're talking about, that kind of understanding that, you know, this
life's not guaranteed.
Exactly.
We're not in a bubble.
Correct.
You know, the thing, again, I know I was the one that said I wasn't going to talk about politics or anything, and it's not politics, but when I was in Israel, and it's been quite a few years, but I saw, you know, groups of people like yourself that, you know, you're 18 and you serve for 3 years, is that correct? So, you know, I've got 2 kids that would still be in right now, or one would have been out, hopefully, and one would still be in, but I remember seeing these 18 to 21-year-olds, or give or take, you know, kids look like my kids, but in fatigues with a backpack, with a AK-47 or whatever, and like
No, we use M16.
M16s.
Or M4s.
But what I remembered, which was so telling me, and I've talked about a lot, is I saw on the backpacks of this one girl who was carrying a M16, like a little teddy bear hanging off her backpack. So these are kids in the military, but that's the way it's been for generations there,
Correct.
right? And that's part of what keeps that neighborhood safe. So again, we'll stop there, but God willing, it's over quickly, and
Amen.
Amen. All right. And let's talk about sport. Like clearly, sounds like you grew up on the Sea of Galilee and the Jordan River right there.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's where paddling came in, right?
So,
and we're just going to talk about how you got into it. We won't
Yeah.
go deep into it.
Yeah,
but like,
no worries. So my dad, basically, my dad was into sailing. He competed on Flying Dutchman 420. So these are small to medium sailboats.
Called dinghies.
Dinghies.
Yeah.
And then later on, when I was about, I want to say 4, 5, 6, 7, he became a judge for all the sailing competitions on the lake. And I loved hanging out on the boat, going to the start line, setting up the buoys and all that, and waiting. And while he was waiting, I was diving underneath the boat. And so that's my love for the ocean. I love being rocked in the water, jumping in. And then I really wanted to do something. I wanted sailing. But every time I go on a sailboat, he'd
he would take over?
Take over, and I was like, great, it's fun, but I have no control. Like, then I started kayaking and started messing up with kayaks and stuff. And
how old were you when you started kayaking?
Probably 5, 6,
Oh,
but
wow.
not Olympic kayaks. Just talking big fiberglass, the one you get all scratched up later, like after the weekend. But I love the independence of it. Me and a couple of my friends would go chasing ducks and fishing and just.
It was like a bike, but on the water for you.
Correct.
You gave him freedom and the ability to go do fun stuff.
Correct. So, and that's where I grew up. The love for the water, the love for nature. And then I was a hyperactive kid. So I kind of did everything. But when I was about 11, I think, or 12 or 10, something over there, there was the Olympic kayak kind of after school activity 2 or 3 times a week. And that's kind of how it started. But before that, it track and field, karate, gymnastics. I was gymnastics for,
really?
I want to say, 4 years maybe in my 4th grade, 3rd, 5th, 6th, something like that. So that was really good. And I think that was the main thing that helped me with understanding my body and movement and all that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Super
that's
interesting.
it.
Got it. And real quick, just because I don't know, the Sea of Galilee, is that like a inland sea, or is that connected to the Mediterranean? What?
No, so it's inland, and it's the Jordan River. So from it, the Jordan River goes down to the Dead Sea and all that stuff, and it sits near the Golan Heights in northern Israel. And my kibbutz is right on the south part, so where basically the Jordan Sea, the Jordan River goes out and goes south.
And so you're in a pretty temperate area. Like year round, you probably have access to do stuff on the water there, right?
Yeah, year round. It's very similar to Southern California. The only thing in the summer, it's more like, I want to say almost like Death Valley. Because it's one of the lowest places on Earth.
Well, the Dead Sea, right,
but we are not that much lower. We're a little bit higher, but not much, because it's the African-Syrian crack line. How do you call it? Like, it's 2 tectonic plates over there. So it's in the summer, it's extremely warm. It gets to 100, 120.
So you're in the water all the time.
Yeah.
So becoming a paddler.
Actually, we have to go to Europe to train in the summer, because July, August, it's
just too darn hot.
Too darn hot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Got it. But that's the genesis. And then jumping ahead just to finish off the schooling thing, you went to school in the kibbutz, but you ended up going. How did you end up in San Diego for school?
So, Olympic Training Center in San Diego.
So at that time, you were already competing at a level high enough to come out here.
Correct. Yeah.
To Chula Vista.
Chula Vista. Yeah. So I represented Israel in 2000. That's when I opened my. Adoption papers and file and everything, because I needed to get a passport for the United States, for citizenship, and they needed to see the birth certificate and all that kind of stuff.
So you hadn't opened it until then?
No, because what happened was we actually lived here in the United States. I did 3rd and 4th grade here, or something like that. 2nd and 3rd grade Washington, Yakima for like a couple of months, and then in the valley in Tarazana for like a year, a little bit more than a year and a half.
Oh, so you already had, your family already had 1 foot in Israel, 1 foot over here, a couple toes.
My dad took up a couple of jobs to try out, how would it be to live in the United States. But they're Israelis. They didn't know I'm not American. They got a visa, working visa. And I went to a public school in Tarazana and in Yakima. And so my English I worked on it a little bit before coming to the United States with a tutor in Israel. And then obviously as a kid, you like sponge, you just take it in really quick.
But then San Diego.
But I didn't need my passport because back in the day, the kids were on the parents' passport. So I was on their visa. So when I needed to go as an adult to the United States, I think we wanted to do a training camp. I had to get a visa. So I go with my Israeli passports. I need a visa. It says place of birth, United States. So you're an American, go with your passport. I don't have one.
Oh, interesting.
So that's when I started opening and finding out that part of my life.
Gotcha. Wow, super interesting. Really neat. What a great story. And thanks for sharing kind of an education about that part of Israel and living on a kibbutz. And this is super neat. Very, very cool. And then we'll talk about, because that gets us into the real paddling conversation, which is like, we'll call that chapter 3. But now we're going to pivot over to the much cuter part of your family unit right here, over to Krista. So Krista, can you tell us about growing up in Hungary? Because I know a little bit about Israel. I really don't know much other than I hear it's beautiful. Your country produces some incredible athletes and but tell me about growing up in Hungary.
It's funny that you guys both mentioned that freedom that you guys had when we were kids, and we had the same. So I grew up in the same, not in the nice place next to the ocean, but in the, how do you say, these blocks?
The communist blocks, the concrete, the big buildings.
The big buildings where a lot of family together. And
was it in Budapest?
Budapest, yeah, I grew up in Budapest.
How do you pronounce it the right way? Because I know I'm
Budapest.
Budapest. Yes. My dad likes to say it that way, and I'm like, Dad, you're an American. Why do you get to say it that way?
Yeah, it's Budapest. And we had the same childhood, almost like a kibbutz. We were running around in that big area where so many these blocks and so many people lived together. And we went to the same school, and all the families, know each other. So it was fun. And I started kayaking when I was 10. And
so let's. Growing up there, so you have some degree of freedom. You live in a very different environment. Budapest. So is this in the city proper? Is it on the outskirts of the city? Is it really a big city, or do you have nature close by? Like, what was that like for you, where you were?
So Budapest is divided by the Danube. So we have a big river going through the city. So we have a Buda and the Pest side.
I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
But you have a Buda and a Pest.
So it's used to be 2 cities, but it's grow together. So they actually put it together, and this is how they call Budapest.
See, there's my history lesson for the day. I had no idea.
Yeah, so we have islands, beautiful island in the Danube, but it was kind of the nature things, and it's close to the mountains. I can't say mountains because Rami look
the mountains. Yeah, we got
not really mountains, but for us that were the mountains. So you could go up now. Now it's changed. It's a lot of houses there, but back in the time it was nature, and you can go in the winter to sled and all those things. So yeah, but we don't have ocean, and we have a river.
And the winters are real winters in that part of Hungary.
Yeah, and we have a real 4 seasons. So winter was winter, with snow and ice. Used to, the Danube used to froze, like you can walk over it.
Oh, wow, you can walk on the river.
Yeah, it was, but not in my time. So when I was a kid, we had this frozen very, very rarely, but now we not even get any snow almost. So
got it.
We really feel how the weather changes. But so I started to kayaking in the local club over there, not so far from us.
So I would imagine that because you have the 4 seasons, in the warmer months, the Danube River is where everything happens.
Oh yeah.
You're there, like, right? Is that
Yeah.
kind of the center of life during that time? Kind of like you with the Sea of Galilee. Like when it's hot, like you want to be in the water.
Yeah, but inside the city, it's like walls. They built it, so it's not so fun. But if you go a little bit north, it's they kept it natural, so you actually can go to the water if you really want to. But inside Budapest, no, we had like in the summer more like pools and all those water activities, not really the Danube. But with paddling wise, yeah, it's.
So how, of all the sports that you could have gotten into, and maybe there was other sports, like were you a gymnast like your husband? But
No,
how did paddling come about? Did it come about just because it was an after school activity that you could do, or were you drawn to it? How did you end up, like why did paddling happen
So
for
you
you?
have to know, in Hungary, kayaking is almost the most successful, if not the most successful sport. So it's
The most successful?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
it's if we talking about Olympic medals, like we are a small country, like 10 million people, and in the Olympics we usually get 7 to 13 gold medal every Olympic. So for a small country, I think it's very good.
Yeah.
And from that, half of it usually came from kayaking. So it's that successful, the sport. So the marketing and how they recruit people, it was very strong. So all the time coming to the school, telling us, come and try kayaking. But I actually started to kayaking because I have a brother who was doing canoeing then.
He was doing canoe.
Yeah, so
Older brother?
older, 4 years older. So he was in the camp in the summer, but sounds very fun because in Hungary you actually let the kids go without the parents for a couple of weeks, and it was kind of freedom, yeah. And I have a twin sister, so it was.
Oh, you have a twin sister?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
So it was.
What's her
fun.
name?
Dora.
Dora.
Yeah, so it was funny because I don't know how, but we kind of get the same idea to go kayaking in the same time. He got it from the school, so she and he from Hungarian. It's very difficult.
Oh.
So sorry if I'm confusing all the time. We don't have that. Anyway, and she got the idea from the class because she wanted to go with her classmates, and I got the idea from my brother. So we almost went separate club, but my parents said, no, I'm not going to drive you,
Right.
no way. You guys go to the same
club.
So we actually started to kayaking together with my sister. It was fun. And yeah, we were 10 years old. We did before karate and tennis.
But I assume when you say you started at a club, based on what you were saying about Hungarians' success in kayak and canoe, when you started a Hungarian paddling club, it's a legitimate. You're not going down to mess around. You're going to learn how to paddle fast.
Yeah, but you know what? We were very young, so the first they want us to love the sport, so they really do a good job with it.
Making it fun
because,
first.
Yeah, because I started in summer. Many people who start in the winter,
They don't love it.
No.
Hold on. Can you paddle year round?
No.
Yeah.
No possible. It's very getting possible right now, but it's really cold in the winter. So we used to come actually here. This is how I met Rami. That we used to come here for training camp in February to start a little bit earlier.
So you would come and train in February when it's freezing cold, maybe even iced over partially on the Danube, and you would come train in the U.S. Where would you train?
So we went to Chula Vista. But that was just one of the options. We used to go to Sevilla. Now they go to South Africa. But
Wow.
I was lucky enough to have an opportunity to come here, like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, one Olympic cycle until 2008. Before 2008, yeah. So.
And you two met in Chula Vista?
Yeah.
At the Olympic Training Center.
Yep.
Super cool.
So yeah, that was a good opportunity as a child to go kayaking because it's give you opportunity for a good career. It's always showed that it's a very successful sport, and if you want to be serious, you can actually get to the highest level. Not every sport has that.
So in Hungary, kayak and canoe paddling at the highest level can be looked at as a career.
Yeah, definitely.
Hold on.
Yeah.
In the U.S., can the same thing be said?
No, I was in the U.S. team. I know the difference.
But, right.
Totally.
Can it be a career here?
I think it can, but it's much harder work. And now I don't know, because back in the time when I came here and Rami was on the team, they actually had a federation and they had better background, no?
Than now?
Than now.
Yeah.
Well, basically the question, and I'm sorry to do, but the question that I was asking, because we've heard it so many times, and we heard it from Kali and Emma just recently, like, if you're going to pick a sport in the U.S. and you're going to work your tail off and you're going to focus all your attention on it and sacrifice a lot, if you pick kayaking, there's not a lot of funding or support, or it's grassroots. In Hungary, at that same level, it's different.
It's very different. We have opportunity to get salary example and sponsors, so we actually can make a living out of kayaking.
Outstanding.
And we have opportunity to gain a lot of money after Olympic or World Championship as a bonus. So what can be a good down payment for a house or something, but it's a big chunk of money that you can actually help you to build your life after, or you're actually getting pension for life, because
as you should.
I don't know if it's it's one country focusing one thing, the other country focusing something else. My country can improve a lot of other things in sports, so sometimes I'm thinking about it. For me it's a good thing, but for the country I don't know how they could make it better. Or
interesting. Got it. So it's the balancing act. They can do better in other areas. They've got the sport thing and the support of the athletes. Again, as you've said, Hungary is incredibly successful. They have a robust program. They support it. They take really good care of their athletes in the training aspect, and they take very good care of you at the elite level. And if you are good enough to win, they take good care of you thereafter. Hallelujah. Again, when you compare that, I think of the countries that don't have that. For them to compete at the same level is pretty impressive, because they're doing it oftentimes self-funded, or we always say, like, they're working at Ace Hardware and trying to make the Olympic team. But it's great, and I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, it's the same. Like example, Hungary is very good with swimming too, and I think here the swimming, it's a different sport than kayaking. Swimming has much more support, and you can actually get to the highest level here, and getting sponsorship, but not sponsorship, scholarship for university. I think it's very important. For us, we don't have that. So. Oh,
you don't in the swimming, because you guys are big in water polo too.
Water polo, swimming, fencing, and we have a couple of sports, but so it's very. So here, if you are a professional athlete, example football or basketball, it's like high level living.
For sure.
We don't have that. So maybe soccer, but soccer everywhere in the world is like, okay, not in the US, sorry, but everywhere in the world, soccer is like, doesn't matter how bad you are, but you make a lot of money. So it's different.
Gotcha. Super interesting. So I kind of pivoted, but let's go back. So you start kayaking with the club in Budapest when you're about 10, while you're in school. I don't know exactly how like the school system works, but when you graduated high school, you mentioned earlier you have a sports marketing degree. Was that happening much later, or did you go directly from high school into university? While you were like, what was happening then when you graduated high school? And
so I graduated high school. I went to the other university, but I didn't like it, so I actually dropped. And
where was that?
I don't know in English how do you say it. It's more like a light manufacturing things. It's packaging and all those things. Okay. So I'm actually kind of regret I didn't finish that. I think it would be a cool degree if I have right now. But I didn't like it, so I dropped and I went to the sport management way. And it's cool in Hungary because they really, really support athletes. So if you are a successful athlete then already, they can give you it's not scholarship because we have a free education system, but it's your time, so you don't have to go to school. You can do it online, and you can do it in the weekends. So because as an athlete, the most important it's time for us, not because we got money or something, but you have to put that time in the training. So you cannot do shortcuts. It's not possible. Oh, I'm in the university, so I have to be there, all day, and before, after. It's just very, very difficult to put the time when you have something else next to it, but it's require full time, because it's a full-time job. So when I was training, it's a 6-7 hour commitment. So next to it, do a 6-7 hour other commitment. It's very, very difficult, and I think it takes a lot from you. So I was lucky, actually. Just wanted to say we were lucky that we have this education system in Hungary that we can go on and still training.
So you can train at the highest level and get it done, and they set it up. Sounds like to some degree to allow for that.
Yeah,
right?
Not everything, but we had some, like the sport management. It was a sport university, so we had that option, but not every university to give you that option.
Yeah, well, it seems very fitting, sports management, with what you both do. So, but that takes us right. You brought up training, and you had said, it's hard to do 6 hours of education a day and 6 hours of training a day. Yeah, that's a lot of work. But let's go right into training. So we left off with both of you about the university level. And at that time, you're already competing at a very, very, very high level. I mean, you're probably pretty darn close to your Olympic level by the time you got to university.
I think that's what drove me to the United States.
Well, let's talk about that. What drove you to the United States?
So I finished my 2000 campaign. Came here to visit.
How old? So in 2000, this is your first Olympic campaign.
My first Olympics.
How old would you have been?
Wow.
2000? So
I don't know.
22,
23, 4, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. And you were at school in San Diego?
No, I was still in Israel.
Oh,
I was going through living in Tel Aviv. I took a year off after the Olympics. I had a shoulder injury that I needed to get rid of. After the 2000. So going into the Olympics, I dislocated my shoulder a few months before the Olympics. Had to make a decision, do surgery and miss the Olympics, or
play through and
exactly. And we're talking come in and out through training, have to stim, ice it. I have the whole regime. Yeah. Of course, I'm not gonna miss my first Olympics. I did that, got surgery done, and I figured, you know what? I live in Tel Aviv, I work, and I signed up for school, started to go to school. I'm like, man, there's no way I'm going to be able to be very successful in school, train full time because I didn't have the funding, and my club with the funding issues and stuff. And came to here, did a little trip, and met with the United States head coach back then, Jersey, and said, hey, you have top 5, top 7 in the world results. We'd love to have you.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we have. And I went and checked out the facility, and I was like, wow, this is
And that's
cool.
Chula Vista.
That's Chula Vista. And back then it was owned by the United States Olympic Committee, not anymore. So you had national programs, so kind of centralized, which was really cool. And they had, when you were an Olympic training center resident, doesn't matter where from the United States you come, you're in-state tuition, and they had a grant from the Olympic Committee. So it's not an NCAA sport, but there's grant money that you can get. So a lot of the kids who were at the Olympic Training Center were there and were using that grant to go to UCSD, all the universities.
So you get
in San
in-state
Diego.
tuition.
In-state
you live
tuition
on the premises.
Correct.
You get to train. See,
amazing.
So again,
this is why I was against. They moved the program to Hawaii. So Callie's dad. This is what, like, when I was already done. Some of the guys were from Hawaii. They said, we want to train Hawaii. It's the most beautiful place. And me and another guy's like, no, move it from here. You move it from here, the kayak in the United States is gonna go back 20 years, or it's gonna be bad, because the opportunity is to go to school. We're not an NCAA sport, but you are enabling these kids to actually almost be like an NCAA sport, in which funding for school, place, the top place in the world for any, I think, any sport with the facilities, you know, the everything right there. And unfortunately, you know, that happened. They went to Hawaii. We lost the program over there. And later on, they sold the training center. They gave it to the city of Chula Vista. But for me, that's why I came here. You know, so I went to the college over there. And, you know, then I got the Home Depot program, which, you know, back in the day sponsored the Olympic athletes. So you put in 20 hours a week, you get paid 40 hours and benefits. So, you know, not ACE, Home Depot, but it doesn't matter. And that's another thing.
That was a good program they did.
It was amazing. It was awesome. I worked here actually on Harbor and then after in Santa Ana. So it was perfect for what I did because, you know, it's a matter of it's how passionate you are. And that's where we come again, kayaking. In Hungary, you know, I was lucky enough to be in 3 countries in kayaking, right? I got Israel, grew up over there in that system, then in the United States, and after the last 8-10 years in Hungary under the Hungarian system. And I think I have a pretty good wide perspective to see how each program is working, why it's not working, why this one is working. And I think, you know, I know the secret sauce why the Hungarian system works. It's fairly simple. And most of it is what we'll talk about Newport Beach. It's tradition. It's not only money. I think more or less it's tradition, knowledge, and people. You know, tradition, knowledge, and people. I think that could probably be applied to anything. Any successful program, successful business, a successful podcast.
Hungarian kayak and swimming and water polo go back like in the 1930, 20, you know, like really, really old. And the knowledge and everything and how the coaching system works in Hungary, like we have really education for coaching, like, you know, and all the tradition goes and everybody share what was working.
So I got to say something about that. Not everybody shares in Hungary.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's extremely competitive.
It's competitive.
Extremely. So you have
so
coaches.
They keep some things close to the best.
The coaches, like, they'll try to get athletes. So Krista was in one club and she's getting really good. Another club, hey, Krista, we'll pay you X amount of money every month. Just join our club. Because the clubs get incentivized funding based on Olympics. So if she's going to the Olympics and gets a gold medal, and she bound for a certain club, that certain club gets a big bonus.
Interesting.
So it creates a, if you want to call that, a very competitive.
It's very competitive.
I can imagine.
It's
and
really
they actually tried to, when I was there and coaching, they tried to create a position that we are so good, the federation, let's create training programs that all the coaches will put their training program, will see what's going on. Coaches like, hell no, we're not sharing. We're not sharing.
I bet, but that happens everywhere. But let's do this. I want to pivot from talking about like the organizations to you guys. So a couple questions. What made you, Krista, so successful in paddling? It's not just the skill. It's got to come back to whether it be the love or the dedication, the willingness to sacrifice. Like, what was your secret to your success in paddling?
It's a good question because I was thinking about it a lot. I was never the most talented person in the class or in the club, and when I was a teenager, and you know, I was not even the hardest working person. So I think for me, I loved what I'm doing. I really like kayaking, and I think I can work very hard if I want something, but I have to find it, what I'm passionate about and what I really love. So it was a long time to find out how to be successful for me, because I tried 3 Olympics. You can imagine how long is it, and I didn't make it. So for me, the 4th Olympic was the one what I actually participated. So it was a long journey to find out how I can be successful.
Hold on, just for clarity. So you tried for 3 Olympics before you made it.
Yeah.
And then you made 2 in a row,
Yeah.
right? So you, for 12 years, you worked your tail off and didn't make it, but kept going.
Yeah,
Wow.
kept going. But honest with you, I moved here in 2009. I was done. So 2008 was Beijing, but I didn't make the Olympic, and that was my third one. And I was like, okay, maybe it's not for me. Like maybe I'm not good enough, or I was done. I moved here to move together with Rami, and I said I'm done with kayaking. So I'm kind of here I found what I needed, because I started kayaking here for a reason. I didn't really know English. I didn't really have anything to do. So I was thinking, oh, what can I do? So let's do some kayaking here. And this was the time I actually find out what I'm missing or how I can. And a big part was Rami, who actually was the biggest help for me to focus on the right things, because in Hungary it's so big and so many athletes, and I always get to the very, very competitive groups. I was always focused on other people. Example, like I never focused on myself. I was just always running other, like I just want to catch up, always want to catch up. Chasing the because we had I all my life I was had kind of training with Olympic champions. Like everybody was some very successful kayaker I had to, train with. And I was always like, oh my gosh, she's doing so good. And I was focused on her, like I didn't focus on myself. But when I moved here, I was totally alone, like totally, like on the water, when K1 was there,
Yeah.
It was me. So what I learned, and what I think what it's make me from there successful, I learned how to focus on myself and how to make like my own goals, not just be in the pack of athletes, get my goals and focus on the technique, focus on myself, focus on, when it's really true when somebody tell you the biggest competition is yourself. And this is what I learned here.
Wow.
To being alone, to compete with myself and get the opportunity to not look at other people, what's going on. I think that was what I learned here with Rami and being alone on the water.
That's really, that's the most interesting part of this conversation so far, is that I had no idea, that you had tried to make 3 Olympic Games, didn't make them, moved here to be with you, and weren't playing, and you thought you were done. So it wasn't until you got here, you're with Rami. Did you kind of just start coaching at that time, or was it just?
No, I was still paddling and active doing the winter circuit races and stuff, and still going out and paddling just like yourself. And I was fitter and had more time to race and stuff. And then I saw she's having a hard time acclimatizing this language, the culture, and everything. I'm like, go back to what you know. Let's go paddle, surf, ski. We got on stand-up paddle boards and everything. I was coaching at the NAC, a big group from NAC and Imua, so I had a circuit training.
Yeah.
And then we had a lot of the foreigners that used to go to San Diego kind of followed me, and then they knew Krista, of course, and started coming to Newport. And she was like, well, like all of a sudden she saw these people with, you have to understand, in Hungary, like you said, it's a profession. You're in a team and you're in a camp with them, you go to sleep together and everything. They're not always nice to each other because they're competing like that. Yeah. That's a big payday for them. Like she said, it's a career. And
yeah, when I got here, that was kept me moving, that I see all those people doing it for fun. Like it was a very different atmosphere when I got here and go to the circuit training, all the outrigger girls and boys, and I see they pushing it like, oh my gosh. I was like, why?
Like, what? Why are they doing this? They don't have Olympics and everything. So they motivated you, remember?
Yeah, and this took me time. Like, I get so motivated, like, oh my gosh, that's not just about the team, because this is how I grew up. I didn't know anything else. So when I was kayaking, when I was little, 10 years old, it was already a competition. It was already all the time telling you how good you are or how not good you are. You get the boat, you don't get the, all the time something. But here, I see people pushing all the limit because they like it. It's like, oh wow, it's a total different perspective.
Wow.
So I think that's helped me to be learning that I love what I'm doing. You know, like kind of. It was automatic. I was in automatic mode over there. Just do what everybody try to get the better. But here it was me. You know, it was my decision. I wanted to do it. I wanted to suffer like them. If they can suffer, I can suffer too. So that's bring me back a passion. And I think I'm still training and pedaling because that passion, it stays with me. Many people in Hungary, like my teammates, many of them that don't
they're
even
burned
touch.
out, they're
Yeah,
done.
Yeah, they
God,
don't.
that's so intriguing. You know what? And let me bring this up because from a athlete and coach athlete perspective, you know, the mindset training is so commonplace now and so important. 20 years ago, now I was never fractionally remotely near the caliber of you guys, but you never talked about, it was all pure muscle and grit. And over the last 10, 15 years, mindset and headspace and meditation, all these things have become a very important part of training and recovery. I'm guessing when you guys were training, that was probably starting, but it sounds like you found it naturally. You found that headspace where I'm not just a machine. I'm doing it for love now. Like, I love this. Like, that's kind of what I hear. Is that right?
It was a lot of hard work, I think. I'm lucky enough in Israel, when I was 16, 17, we had a guy who did Tai Chi, taught us how to visualize, meditation, all that stuff. So I grew up with that. I was lucky enough to grow up with the father of periodization, who wrote the book, Professor Vladimir Yasurin. But when I started dating Krista and knowing her and everything, and she came here and started training, I was like, I see a Ferrari, a F1 athlete, everything, and like, just have to put those, you know, kind of feed. And it wasn't even that. It was the people that I was around the NAC. And like she said, like, you have a cashier and Vaughn's and a plumber and an entrepreneur millionaire and a college kid all come together, happy as sweating, working hard. And all of a sudden she's like, man, this is why I love it, you know? And then allowing her to focus on herself, because there's no noise now of all the other coaches, athletes around, the money. There's no money. We spend money to race. She's like, this doesn't make sense. In Hungary, you pedal to make money. We are here spending money. And I think, and I remember that transformation. Remember, like, she's coming to the workouts and everything, and all of a sudden winning this race and that race. And I think, you know, I put the seed was already there. It's just put a little bit of different fertilizer and a little bit of different water and like we talked before, different atmosphere, different people around you, different team around you. And luckily I can kind of orchestrate that for her because I know her, you know, I know what athlete she is and I know what she could be. And for me, I tried my 3 Olympics, like I've done. She actually pushed me to go. Remember, you pushed me to go to the trials, the Olympic trials. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm done. I'm over. Come on, because I was her training partner for the first couple of years. Like I'm a guy. I'm a little faster, a little stronger. So I'd go and train with her in the sprints and everything. Not always on the motorboat. And she's like, you gotta go. And like I went to Oklahoma to get my butt kicked by guys that I love, and I kind of brought up Tim Hornsby and Morgan House. So, but you know, she flourished here because of that. And the main thing is she had to understand where it's coming from. I just kind of, you know, I did that move for me from Israel because I knew it's not about money or anything. It's about chasing a dream. I knew she had that dream. I competed in 2008. She couldn't watch me compete. It was that kind of traumatic for her not making. She doesn't say it, but she was the 3rd fastest at the Olympic trials in Hungary. They take 4 girls for the K4. So it's a lot of politics too and stuff like that.
Right?
Yeah.
Paddle ticks even in Hungary.
Yeah. So, but the cool thing is, like I said, bring her coming here, being with me, and like you said, the NAC, and meeting Philippe and meeting Cliff Meidel.
Philippe Ocara, 5-time Olympic.
Six-time Olympian.
And he can still smash the majority of them at 60 whatever years old.
And you have a guy like Cliff Meidel that worked on a jackhammer, got electrocuted, died 2 times and everything, fought up. And so you have all these amazing people and very positive too. And the thing is the positive thinking and not just saying like, oh, you can do it, like living it and enjoying the road, the way to it. And it's a harder road than in Hungary. In Hungary, like you go through this path, you will get there. Here, you gotta pave your own path, you know. And the NAC for us, and for me specifically, more simple because I came from the Olympic Committee here. I moved out here. I had the Olympic training program, Home Depot. But for Krista, she didn't even have a U.S. passport. You know, training out of NAC with us and everything. And we had Billy, and I'm sorry, I'm going to.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah,
no.
So when the dream kind of like lit already, she's like, "Well, let's open the rule book," and the International Canoe Federation. It doesn't say spouse. I mean, also if you live with your boyfriend or girlfriend in that country and you're a resident, which she was, you can represent that country in World Championships. World Championships is a qualifier for the Olympics. So like, all right,
not
you know,
the before 1 year.
1 year before, yeah. So you
Not
got to place top
version.
6 or top 8, and then you qualify a spot for the United States. So Krista starts racing for the United States. We try to get a expedited passport for her so she can represent the United States. And mind you, we're paddling. Billy got us together with. Remember a guy named Mike Fox?
I don't.
Boardworks. So Boardworks is a big company that made stand-up paddle boards. So Boardworks actually sponsored Krista.
Because I did a lot of stand-up races,
Yeah,
so
sure.
I actually kept going with the stand-up and cross-training, and that
So
was a...
that allowed her to continue to train in kayaking. So we actually owe this Billy, Mike Fox, and the stand-up paddling races, and back in the day, that was when Battle of the Paddle was big time.
Big.
Everybody people threw paddle boards at people, and that actually allowed us to, and that you have to be creative, right? You have to, okay, if I'll get sponsored from here and here.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. Yeah, she had one of her best competitions. We were in Hawaii. We got hammered. She got hammered on the Waikiki, Battle of the Paddle in Waikiki. It was a hard one.
Oh my God.
She flew back to California 12 hours later, Europe, and I'm watching on TV, and all of a sudden she wins it. She wins the 1,000. She wins the 500. She got third in the 200. Like, what's going on? And that's when like the dream kind of like, wow, this is getting real.
Wow.
And yeah.
Well, let me do this. Let me summarize a couple of things, then we're going to go. I want to make sure we have time to catch some other stuff that's really cool. So it took you coming to the U.S. and working with you to kind of find your love for paddling again, and you helped fertilize some of that mindset. You kind of had a F1 car in the garage and had to help, or driving down the street, and you need. So what's interesting is that it took this coming together for you to find the passion and the love like naturally, and it took you a while after 12 years of trying. And it sounds like at the same time you kind of found your coaching voice, right? Because it kind of naturally came out by helping your girlfriend or wife at the time find her passion for it. And through that, truncating the story, 2 gold medals come. It's pretty incredible. And right, like but that is what happened. There's a whole lot of racing and training and politics and navigating the processes you were just describing to get there, and including stand-up paddle, like a lot of really interesting ways that would be really fun to dig into. But ultimately it got you from thinking you were done with paddling, thinking you're done with paddling to some degree, to coaching at the most elite level, getting 2 gold medals with a couple. It's just what a cool story. I mean, those are all the missing links that most of us that know the end game of what you guys have accomplished, but we don't know all of that cool, interesting, how did you get here? It's really, really cool. But I've got more questions. What does it feel like for us normal humans to qualify for the Olympics? And I want to hit a bunch. When you qualified for that first Olympic Games, just qualifying after 12 years of trying, thinking that you were done, and then you qualify. How did that feel?
That was, I think,
chicken skin.
So you have to understand, I was working that time in the 24-hour fitness. I was going to English lessons.
ESL, English Second Language
Yeah.
in Santa Ana.
I was
Costa Mesa.
training,
Yeah.
and I always told Rami, like, Rami, I don't know how I can have a chance when I know very well in Hungary everybody just focus on training. They don't do anything next to it. And for me, it's actually helped because it put a lot of pressure out from my shoulder because I didn't have time to think about it because I was always busy. I was always tired. I was like, oh my God. And I went there and I was like, oh, wow. It was so difficult for me because everybody in Hungary, they are very arrogant. So they...
Very arrogant?
Arrogant.
I
because
think more proud, not arrogant.
proud, and they didn't even think that I have a chance.
Well, yeah. So when you go and you see all the people you used to train with,
they questioned in me, like, what are you doing here? You know, like I got to, so in Hungary you have to be under a club. So you have to have a club. So I had to find the club I want to race with. They threatened me, or treated me like I'm a beginner. Or, you know, I had like, I don't know how many world championships that time. So it was not like I'm starting from nothing.
well, you had left.
Yeah,
and they thought you were done. And then here comes Krista
No,
again.
but don't forget, she
But I
still
was in the
raced
US.
she raced for the US. So
And
she
I
was
won
that's true.
in the World
Okay.
Cup circuit.
Okay,
She
thank
won
you.
medals.
So I was successful here, and like, you know, and they didn't offer me anything, you know, like it was just the feeling. I don't mind that part. Just I try to paint a picture how they didn't even considering you as a
They weren't worried about you
at all. And I was like, you know, like I was like, no way, you know. And I
Did that fire you up?
It really fired me up, and I had to line up with, like, you know, the final in Hungary when you line up 9 people. It was 5 Olympic medalist or champion, you know, and the other 3 was the last, you know, from the last world championship for world champions. So
it's the best of the best of the best.
It's the lineup, yeah. And I just lined up and I just see, like, this girl next to me has to be behind me. That was my goal. And I just went, and I got seconded by, I don't know, like 0.2 of a second. So like really, really close, but in Hungary that time. And I was lucky because it used to be K4 qualification. So you have to be in the club. They decide who is in the K4, and you can have to go to the trials in the K4, and you have to compete in the K4.
So K4 is 4 people in the same flatwater sprint kayak,
Yeah.
just for anybody that...
But that year, they changed the rules. So they didn't have to go K4 qualification because it was not fair with people who didn't have a strong club. They didn't have enough papers, so they didn't have a chance to go in the K4 because, you know, it was politics all the time, who can sit in the K4. So that year, when I was competing in the K1, they changed it. So actually, K1 result get you in the K4. So my K1...
So you had to do really well in K1,
Yeah,
solo
exactly.
boat,
Yes.
Yeah.
to qualify for the 4-person boat.
Correct.
Yeah, so I got second. So for that second place, I was going to the Olympic. You know, like that was automatically you are in. And I was like, oh my God.
Newspaper, Cinderella story, really.
Was it Cinderella
Yeah.
story?
Oh, yeah.
That
Like all
was-
the
Because you blew
Cinderella
people's
story.
minds, right?
Yeah,
they
that-
did not
didn't-
expect that.
No, didn't. So
And did you?
I always had hard time to believing myself. I'm still working on it. So no, I always doubted, but I just really want it. So I just switch off and just go for it.
Wow. That's amazing. And winning, I'm just going to keep going with you. How did it feel the first time you won? We don't have time. I could ask you a million questions about how that whole experience was and what it felt like being in Olympic Village and what it felt like to line up in your first Olympic race after all these, I mean, more than half of your life at that point had been dedicated to this. But I'm just going to jump to the pinnacle. It's your first Olympic Games. It's the K4. It's going for the medal. You've already qualified for, I don't even know, this is the final. in 1 minute, tell me about that race and what it felt like when you guys won it.
So we had high expectation because, you know, we have history. So in the last 20 years, we always got second behind the Germans. I always got second. But one good thing when we are in the K4, in the Hungarian K4, you know you're gonna get the medal. You don't know.
You're gonna get some medal. You don't
Yeah.
know which one, but you're gonna medal.
Yeah. So
So you were confident.
We were very confident, but we were very hungry because we had such a good team, like good girls together, very strong. And we really wanted to break that 20 years, you know, like we didn't get the gold medal. So that was, we were very hungry, we were very confident, and I didn't feel I was not nervous. I knew we can do this, and it just went through, and we won, and we were happy. And it was just all the process, we trained together, and we knew how strong we are, that we just had that confidence we can do it, and we actually did it. And it was kind of not a surprise, you know. It was when you really know how good you are, because the team behind you and the time shows and everything, you kind of already feel like you can do this. And yeah, it was a very good experience.
Especially after your whole life or the majority of your life focusing on this, and the trials and tribulations that you had leading up to it, to be on the podium at your first Olympics.
I cried. I never thought I can cry in the podium. I always thought it's something like, oh my gosh, it's so emotional or something. I did cry. So
I love that.
So
I might cry right now because of this story.
And the best thing was for me that he was there. And the first thing I came out from the boat, he was there, and I could actually hug him and kiss him. And that was for me so important. My parents were there, and I almost crying. So it was really, really emotional and a very good experience.
Oh my God, it's incredible.
It doesn't compare with the second one.
Well, we're going to go.
I can tell you, I knew they won before them.
How?
I was on the bike. Going with
paralleling
them.
it?
Parallel. All the coaches were.
And where was this one again? This was
in London.
This is London. Oh my gosh.
And
on
then,
the is it on the?
No, it was Eton Dorney, I believe. Yeah, it's a little bit outside of London. But the cool thing was, I knew they have a better, way faster second half of the distance, because you know we know every 100
how many
meters,
meters?
It's 500 meters.
No faster, we can keep it.
They can keep. They don't slow down as much as the other boats. So the trick was the Germans have a very good start. They don't have
Belarusian.
And the Belarusian, yeah. The Hungarians not the strongest start, our girls, but they're like a train, get faster and faster, and then halfway, they're neck and neck, and that's it. I raised my hand. You can see it in the video.
That's so great.
I was like so stoked.
Were you
amazing?
Again, I've got some more stuff that I really want to get, but were you coaching informally at that time? Coaching Krista,
No,
or she was solo?
So the way it works is this, like Krista said, we couldn't get this passport in time for the United States, represent the United States, so our only chance was to go to Hungary Olympic trials, and we show up, coach, husband, wife, everybody knew me, because I was I was racing for many, many years, or in international level, and in Hungary, training in Hungary in the summers. So everybody, the club, the way it works is, you're under the club. So when we go and we're under a certain club, it's Rami and Krista. Rami is the coach, personal coach, because there's also financial stuff connected to it, like we talked before. Sure. So we're a team. And they accepted me. And a lot of the guys are people that I already knew from racing and training. So I wasn't a total stranger to them.
So you just told us how it felt to have him there. How did it feel? You said your arms were the first ones up, but how did that feel for you? To watch her win her first gold.
You know, all my life was to also, make the Olympics, but I wanted, arrogant enough to say I wanted to be a medalist. Yeah. You know, if you can't say that to yourself and really believe that,
you have no right. Yeah.
It's not no right. It's hard to do, unless it's a team sport in some kind of way. You're a good gel and the team takes you up there, but it's just an individual sport or a format. You need to have that confidence or arrogancy And for me, honestly, I discovered that it was much more fulfilling. It's kind of like me achieving all the stuff that I didn't achieve, all the mistakes that I did, all the things that I've learned along the way. I can implement and teach her and kind of do that with her. And I think she was, as a person, as an athlete, way better platform. This is the 2.0 of, not even can compare to me, but it was amazing. It was just, you know, like to see the person you love the most achieve the goal that you already gave up on, or the dream that you already gave up on. Like, it took me halfway around the world, took her halfway around the world as well. And to achieve that, you know, many times she didn't believe, like, you know, we tried to, you know, like through trying to do with the stand-up paddling, through the financial part was the biggest struggle, I gotta admit. But again, you know, NAC, you know, we did fundraiser over there. We had some money that we didn't, Billy coughed up, wrote a check.
We love Billy
You know,
Whitford.
we came back, used the check that you gave us. It just unreal. And
well, let me say a couple things, because, you know, high performers don't always recognize what they're accomplishing. Now, to win the Olympics is to win a gold medal or to make it to the gold. I mean, I want to talk to you too, because just making it to the Olympics is 0.0000001 of the population, right? But to be at the level that you're the #1 in the whole world twice, with 3 other people in the boat, I understand. But it's like most of us can't comprehend it. You're like, oh, you know, you're thinking like, well, I feel really confident. But you're confident at this level that most people will never understand what it takes, how hard it is, what that feels like to compete at that level. I mean, I like to compete when I'm competing like around here, you know, and still not winning. So it's just, I give you guys both just humongous praise for what you've been able to accomplish and how you did it. But I want to hear, you said the first one was nothing compared to the second one. You guys, something happened between your 2 Olympic gold medals. Can you talk about what happened? It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, the best thing happened. We got our little son Noah in the world.
So Noah was born
2014.
And so you have 2. You have 2 boys.
Yeah, 2 boys. One born 2014. After we get one more Olympic, 16, and Daniel born 2018.
And they're both like the first week of June. You guys are clockwork. Now I'm guessing there's something. So you had to time everything.
I have to tell you something. That they had actually the same due date.
Is that right?
June 10.
So you planned the pregnancies and the births of your boys around your Olympic training schedule and the Olympics.
That's right.
That's a commitment. That's big.
And we are lucky. Like I have to tell, we are the luckiest that
lucky.
Actually.
But everyone went
it's
as
happened.
planned with that, because obviously, you know, with my mom and a lot of women out there and parents, not always people get pregnant when they want to, how they want to. So we are very, very, very
well. And it's incredible to watch. And what I got to watch, because I'm at Newport Aquatic Center all the time and in the gym, I saw you after Noah's birth. You had just had a baby, and I watched you transform from just having a baby back to an Olympic athlete over, I don't know what amount of time, but I remember, I clearly remember watching you come right afterward, or as soon as you started back up, and I watched this transformation happen back to a gold medal athlete in front of my eyes. It was incredible, knowing that you had a baby at home, knowing that you're like. Yeah. Just
baby at home? No, baby was
with
you
guys everywhere.
So I was coaching her. I got the car seat, driving, taking times and taking, you know, video. And then, okay, Krista, keep going because I got to change the diaper.
It's incredible teamwork. Incredible teamwork. So I could go, and we're going to run out of time. So I really want, you got to talk about your second gold medal. Coming back from childbirth.
Okay,
what
so that was a very, very challenging 2 years. So 2014, I got pregnant. 2015, we had the qualifier for the Olympic. So I remember being in Italy in 2014 because we had a big trip with vacation. Anyway, it was the best time ever. And we were in Milano, where it's supposed to be the World Championship next year. I was 2 months after pregnancy, so fat, big. I was just okay, let's try to get ready for the qualification. I have 1 year, yeah? And I was like, okay. So I started to, okay, Rami, I go for a run around the lake where I'm going to compete next year. I couldn't run all the way. I was walking. I was like, oh my gosh, that's going to be next year, the qualification for, you know. And we actually made it in.
So 1 year from the time that you, like 2 months after pregnancy.
That was just for the qualification. So I had 2 years to get ready.
But you have to qualify to get ready.
Well, somebody else can qualify.
Oh.
But
Okay.
it's better
The spot
if
is
you
the country.
qualify.
Yeah, it's better if you qualify, but you can qualify the spot for the country, and then it's still up for grabs.
Okay.
But
got
anyway,
it.
so the qualification just for the Olympic, it was very difficult for me because I was always sick, because Noah was always sick, you know, bring back everything. He was 2 years old almost when he started going, and it was, I think it was over my limit, or I don't know. So I got sick the first selection. I got sick that second selection.
Darn kids. Always getting us sick.
I was really bad in the second selection. So I got in the borderline, like third place, that, you know, politics gonna decide I gonna go or not. And that was the hardest, because it was not up to me. And they actually decide, okay, you know what, 3 days later, we're going to do a race, a seat race, or how do you say it?
Yeah,
so
seat race, yeah.
they give me a chance, and two other girls, but 3 was for sure in the boat, and 3 of us was racing for 1 seat. And I remember taking the antibiotics. I didn't have even voice. I was like,
so you're super sick, and you have to seat race
for
the remaining seat in the K4.
Yeah.
So everybody's the 3 or 4 of you are racing for 1 seat in a K4. The other 3 have been selected.
Yeah. So we did 300 meters time control with I don't know, hours between, you know, that the other 3 girls has time to rest. So I was, I think, the second one, and I had to wait. And I waited, what's gonna happen? So they decide together who is gonna be in the K4.
So the coaches, the athletes that are guaranteed to be in the boat come together, and you have to understand each time control. There's like 2 motorboats on each side, one in the back, one in with the video camera, everything, you know. So a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And
well, especially because that boat is the gold medal boat from the previous. Like you guys, after 20 years of losing to Germany, you guys don't want to lose that again in Hungary, right? Yeah. So it's super. That spot, that's the hot seat you were trying to get.
So I finally got the news that so I made it, and I was so happy. But they tried to get Noah away from me. So they told me, okay, Krista, but look, I see you are sick, and we don't want that. So you can't stay with your son.
With your baby.
I was like, what are you talking about? This is all about my family. It's a journey for us to go, and I'm not willing to do that. Whatever you do, I'm not doing it. So they kind of let it go, but that was that was very hard for me. Anyway, the whole process was hard, and I was so nervous in the race, and I had to drop Noah in Israel. We dropped him, and I didn't see him for all. It was just so stressful.
I flew Noah to Israel, stayed 1 night or 2 nights, flew back to Hungary, to Krista. I think you guys left already.
And
I flew after to Rio. And so she hasn't been with Noah. She hasn't seen him for what, 3-4 weeks?
2 weeks, and after 1 more week.
Yeah, so 3 weeks. So that was the hard part for her.
For
well, and let me just insert, during this time, I don't see you guys all the time when you're here, but I see you on a regular basis when you're around. During this time, the community would see you for a little bit, and then you'd be gone for months, and then we'd see you for a little bit, and you're gone for months. Like, you guys were everywhere.
No, so
in the prep,
so
we did this.
Olympics, so basically, right? 7 months of the year, so all the winter until April, we would be here training here, and then from mid-April we'd leave to Europe. That's when you had the trial.
Beginning of April. Beginning of May, start the process for the
selection for the team. So we had to be in Hungary for the selection for the national team, then go and race all the international competitions, the World Championship eventually at the end of the year. And then end of August, we had some time, fly to Israel, visit my family, and then come back here in September and start all over again.
Wow.
So it was pretty, amazing life.
Well, I'm guessing your kids'
awesome.
passports have more stamps in it than most people.
No, definitely.
No,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
So tell us about, and then we're going to wrap up in just a minute, but I got to hear about the second time you won.
So I was very, very nervous. I think all of my teammates came to me that day and asked me, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I don't know what was with me. I almost cried. Like, I was so nervous, and everybody coming to me and it make me more nervous. Oh my gosh, they can even see on me. and I remember one training. All my life never happened with me. In the start, I how do you say it? Like, I slipped my pedal, and all the start went.
This is the start of the final.
No, it was one training.
Oh, in training.
During the summer, training never happened with me. I messed up all the start because of that, and that was in my head.
Stuck in your head.
It was stuck in my head. All that things, and I was so nervous. Not just because of that. I don't know why I was so nervous. I was super nervous. So it was terrible. Like, really. And I went to race, and we raced, and I didn't feel anything else, just like, I didn't feel what I felt in London, the happiness and all these things. I just felt, finally it's over.
Wow.
I don't know, for me that was a really, really stress year. All the thing was very, very stressful, and just when you feel that stress goes down and you feel this, that's what I felt then. So that so different. London, I didn't even feel any nervous or something. Here I was shaking, like,
wow.
Yeah, it was terrible. I have to say.
Well, getting to be the best in anything, especially in the world stage, it takes everything, right? Every sacrifice, all your love, attention, energy, right? You probably started sleeping again afterward, but I can't imagine with young kid, you're traveling, like all the variables that go into winning a gold medal. That's beyond most of us. I mean, very, very, like, again, 0.00001 of people.
But we are fortunate, I have to tell you, because we had the support system. Like, I had Rami, who was, I would never do that if my kids has to be in the daycare or something. Yeah. It's for me, it would be not possible. But I was so lucky because he could come with me. We could travel together. I actually can stay in Hungary for 5 months, but it's so important for me because all my family there. So everything was just so perfect for us, that lifestyle, that we just, you just want to keep going. And
I got to tell you, I think the Olympics for us after the first one was a meaning, not the goal, if that makes sense.
No, explain it.
Because we can train for the Olympics. We have the support of the club. We have the support of the federation. It's like, the people who live winter in Hawaii and they go back to their state. That's more or less what we did in a way. We live in California during the winter, train here, live here. Then we go back to Hungary, to Europe, which is awesome, amazing, very different. Get to do what we love. Yeah, it's hard work. And I used to have hair before I started coaching her, and not anymore. And having a kid, and I think this is part of why she was so nervous, because having a kid with you is different, but the lifestyle was unreal. Experiencing the life we have here, obviously the ocean, surf ski, surfing, and all the opportunities here. And especially I think the mindset and the spirit of the NAC. And then going to Hungary, which is a pressure cooker as an athlete. But when you come here, and especially with the tools I think that we bring from here to deal with that, it's very different. We see it in a different light, or at least Krista sees it, I think, in a different light, in a different perspective. And
we wanted to keep going with the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because so many people ask me, hey, why are you still going? Like, I actually tried for Tokyo. So it was 5 more years, because it's postponed. And I had our kids, the second one. and I just said, I just want to keep that lifestyle, the the longest I can do, because it was just so amazing. Like, travel with the kids, be with family. Like, it was just my goal to keep that until I can. And that was 2021.
It's just a different path that not too many people take, and we're lucky enough. We worked hard to achieve it, as long as we did. And I think, if COVID wasn't there, we were just on time, on target. But it just, you get everything from all worlds. We get to live in California and meet people like you and have people support us. And the cool thing is we gave back. Like Krista didn't say too, that she was coaching. She started a stand-up paddling class, and all of a sudden she's taking out 30 people and teaching them how to stand up paddleboard and everything. And she doesn't get that. She's the most humble person I've ever met. So that's one of the things I have to say. And she probably is the hardest athlete I've ever met. Kind of like that same with Michael Jordan. Like, coaching is hard because but my issue with coaching with her was never she's not training hard enough. She was the most hard person on herself. And when she was kind of sick or missed practice, like, Krista, you got this. You have so much experience. No, I didn't put the work. Then I can't expect that from myself, And
yeah, that was my weakness always.
It's not a weakness. I think it's what made you so good, because, without the work, you can't expect the results. It's not going to come out just from luck. And that's what I knew, that it's not something, but she lived it. And I think what was missing before is just somebody to believe in her. I mean, she had a community behind her. That's the most powerful thing. And with, like we talked before, community, or I remember, but basically people and surrounding.
The people you surround yourself with. Proximity is power. Community, engagement, camaraderie, belief. I love, just so you guys know, like, I love what you just said about your wife as far as being the most humble, because I would say that too. Like, and that's the beauty. We keep saying NAC. And for people that don't know the Newport Aquatic Center, this is the community of the Newport Aquatic Center. It's people like us from very different backgrounds. I'm far from Olympic, and you guys are both Olympic. Gold medals, coach to gold. Like, it's really incredible. And that is what a good community breeds, right? You said you were inspired by the people there. Why are all these people working so hard? They're just going to go out and paddle on the weekend. And you're like, I'm trying to get to, like, that's the beauty of an organization like that, wherever it may be, wherever the club. We're blessed to have it there. That's, my home away from home as well. But it's just cool to see the interplay. The last thing I'm going to ask you is, how was it? And we're going to keep it very short, but I think I heard it. But as a couple, coaching at that level, I don't know, like, Rami, hearing you speak, everything you say and how you say it is a coach. Like, it's a natural talent that you have.
You know what my teammates used to call me? CZ, Coach Zur.
Coach Zur.
So I was the older guy.
But it's a natural talent that you possess.
I don't know if it's a talent. It might be. I think it's annoying sometimes. It's a passion.
Hallelujah.
I try to stop. Better. I'm doing the same with my kids. She'd tell me, stop coaching them. I'm like, you're right. I can't help myself. But I can tell you with Krista, it was extremely hard, because I knew what she can do, and I knew that it was her dream, and it was my dream. It's the same dream. And I love her, so I want her to be able, and I know she could have done that, especially with those, and
those little
pivot
seeds,
points,
right?
that it's seeds, but it's kind of like when you look at somebody and man, you don't know how great you are. Not because you love him so much, and you just see the potential. You know that potential. For example, I was extremely talented. I never had that kind of work ethic that she has, and do it day in, day out, day in, day out. And I always tell people, like, you can be the most talented person in the world, but the talent you really need to do is the hard work every day, and be disciplined and push yourself to that limit every day. And that's something that inspired me. And then, I lived with her, we were dating and everything, so I know her mental and physics. So, and I think also as an athlete, it's really hard, because you never you always bring it home. So, you know, it's...
I said at the beginning,
it's really hard.
I worked with my dad for 20 years. I can appreciate the challenges, especially you've got distinct timelines and goals and all the stuff you've talked about. And yet you guys got it done, and it's so cool. And you got two beautiful boys to show for it. Again, one of the most impressive things I ever saw was watching you come back from giving birth to winning a gold medal. It was incredible to watch. So
Thank you.
you guys, this has been so awesome. Thank you so much for taking. I feel like we could have gone for hours. There's so many more questions I would have loved to have asked, but I think you painted a really good picture of the journey you've been on, how you ended up here, all the interesting stuff along the way. 5 Olympic Games between the two of you, 2 gold medals. You found your passion in your career of coaching. You found your passion to get back in the boat and go win at the elite. Like, I love your guys' story, and thanks for sharing it with us, because I promise you there's a lot of people that go, oh, now I get it. Now I understand, because we see you around. You're just 2 normal people that have done very extraordinary things. So
Thank you.
thank you guys.
I just want to say, I'm trying to encourage people, please come check out the NAC. It's the biggest secret in Newport Beach and Orange County. And come check it out. Like Mark said, you never know who you're going to meet over there. And it's pretty rad to have a place like that. So like you said, you kind of want to keep it a secret, but not really, you know. So
if you know, you know. It's by far one of the best resources in Orange County, if
Absolutely.
not Southern California, if not the U.S., as far as producing scholarship athletes in rowing, world-class paddling. Yeah, it is, and it's the most inclusive place on the planet.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Awesome. You guys, thank you so much. I so
Thank
appreciate
you.
you.
Thank
It was
you.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.